Good day, everyone. Welcome to Catching Up with Kelly. Today's episode will be a spinoff of the episode. So, for those of you who follow Catching Up with Kelly, you are familiar with SBM Mitchell LLC Consulting Services, and this is a spinoff of that show. And I was so empowered during that show that I thought to do a spinoff regarding what's actually needed in the community in terms of parenting skills, mental health counseling, so on and so forth. And so again, welcome to today's show. I was so excited to just go to dive right into the topic that I didn't introduce myself. I'm Kelly, the host of Catching Up with Kelly, and I am here with my beautiful
Aww.
co-host, Mrs. LaMonica Duckworth. All right. Hey, LaMonica.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Okay.
Fine. Thanks for asking.
You're welcome.
I see you had a great last show with Dr.
V. Mitchell?
Yeah, V. Mitchell. I'm sorry, I was going to put the Mitchell with the V somewhere. I don't know. But, oh my God, that was great. I was just listening to you guys talk and empowering.
It was so empowering. You know what? I think that was the beauty of connection, like women connecting and being able to relate on a deep personal level. You know, I think what was empowering for that show was how she was, she made herself vulnerable and she told her story.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the key. When you want to establish a healthy rapport with someone, you just have to make yourself vulnerable and willing to share your story.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it helps people to just talk about what they're going through personally.
Absolutely. Once you own up to how your life was and you're willing to make a change,
Right.
then it's easy to just come out and accept it and teach other people, because one thing we need to do is, as Black women, as women period, is to help the next woman, to just share our story, because we don't always know what female is going through some type of struggle in her life. And even though our stories and problems may not be the same, in some shape, form, or fashion, they're all relatable.
Right.
So with her coming out with that, oh my gosh, it had me over here like, oh God, yes.
Well, Monica, was that not amazing? Just amazing. And, I think one of the things that has helped me to be really effective in clinical practice, I'm an occupational therapist. One of the things that have really helped me to be effective in clinical practice is I share my story. I try to be as relatable as possible to my clients and let them know I'm not judging you in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm here to help you to help yourself, pretty much. So I don't come across as the professional. I empower them to be the professional, and I let them be in charge of their care. And unfortunately, you have so many people out here who, they want to be the boss and they want to seem superior, and so you're not able to reach a patient when you approach them in that way.
Right.
And it's the same thing in the community. You can't establish healthy relationships with people if you're always coming across as wanting to be the top or wanting to be the expert in areas.
Absolutely. I feel everyone needs to listen before they can voice their opinion. If you
That's right.
listen, that's when people get the trust, like, oh, she or he understands, because they're just listening, or they want to understand. They want to feel my pain, because you really can't understand someone if you can't kind of place yourself in them shoes, or you can have as much training as you want, but if you haven't either walked along the path with someone who was going through that, or if you haven't walked it yourself, I just feel personally, this is just my opinion,
Right.
you can't really help if you can't relate in some shape, form, or fashion.
That's right. You can't reach them. You can't teach them if you can't reach them.
Exactly.
So, even a student in the classroom, if a student feels like their teacher is talking down to them as opposed to talking to them or having them engage in a conversation, they're not going to be receptive to nothing you say.
Nothing.
So, so that session, I'm looking forward to her session. I think it's October 21st on domestic violence. It's for domestic violence survivors and people who are trying to break the cycle of abuse. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Though I've never been in a domestic violence situation, I want to go just because I can get insight. And I have 3 daughters of my own, even if and it doesn't have to be, daughters who go through that. I know for a fact that in my younger days, I was more like the person that kind of did some type of sort of domestic violence, like as far as being verbal. And we all need to hear it from whatever sides, because in some way we all are, if we haven't experienced it, we kind of put someone else through it. And I just want to gain that experience and that knowledge that she's going to deliver, and I can pass it on, because I know a lot of people close to me that's just, they're experiencing it now or have experience with it, and they just didn't know how to talk to no one or had right resources. So maybe if I can sit and listen to her, I can direct them to her.
Right,
you know?
right. And you just hit on a key point. A lot of times in our relationships, especially if you've been in an abusive relationship, the aggressor becomes the aggressor. And so there's a saying that says that hurt people hurt people. That's true. Hurt people if they don't get the right amount of help. You know, when you experience certain things like that, it's important. And unfortunately, in the African American community, we're so, you know, we think that going out and getting help, there's so many stigmas attached to that, because reaching out to ask for help in our community is like a weakness. But no, actually it's a strength. It's saying that you want to help yourself, you want to heal past your hurt. So I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I tell everyone this, I have a therapist on speed dial for everything. And
and it works.
It works, but sometimes, you know, I remember the last time I called one of my therapists, Dr. Kenneth Washington, and I was telling him, like, well, doctor, you know, I think I need to come see you. And he was like, well, Kelly, what's going on? So we just started having general conversations. He was like, well, Kelly, what's going on? So I told him, he was like, Kelly, you don't need to see me. You're just trying to do too much. Stop being superwoman.
Right.
You know, you can't campaign for a United States Senate position and go to school to get a PhD and try. You're doing too much.
Right.
He just said, Kelly, slow down. And sometimes we just need honest feedback. And so you can't. And the one thing I appreciate about Dr. Kenneth Washington, who's over on, I think he's on Wellington Place. He's phenomenal, but he's open, he's honest, and he doesn't abuse his patients' insurance. He doesn't, you know, have a patient come in just to take their money. He'll give you honest feedback, and he'll assess the problem or try to gauge or try to figure out where you are before you have you come and sit down. Now, I'm pretty sure there were times when he was like, yeah, you need to come in and, like, you really need to just process. I need to help you process through this. But we need to get past that point where we're just looking to keep everything in, because whether you realize it or not, if you're traumatized and you're holding in some hurt, it's going to come out in some way. And so the fact that you said that even females, we tend to be verbally abusive and we don't realize that we're being abusive, still we're the aggressor.
Right.
And a lot of times in domestic violence situation, we just think that a man is always abusing the woman, but sometimes it's the reverse. Women can be extremely abusive.
Right. So let me take that one back. When I said I was never in a domestic violence situation, I should have said never in my adulthood.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have to come from a significant other. It can come from a family member. It can come from, you know, people that you live in your household with. And so therefore, you tend to carry that on with you as you get older. So I did experience being hurt as a young person and just being raised around a lot of guys who were like, oh, make sure you never let another guy do this. So I was always like tough. If I thought that I felt like any little situation could possibly lead you to put your hands on me, I got so defensive and ready to tackle. No, it's not going to happen. So that's why with all of this and the domestic violence, verbal abuse, whatever, any type of abuse, we need to sit and get knowledge of what's going on, just to sit back and I guess listen to other folks and evaluate yourself, because sometimes we have to evaluate ourselves to realize, why are we like this? Why are we abusive? Why are we violent? Could it be something in the past as a child? Could it have been a past relationship? Right. And a lot of things that we go through that are abusive or violent, we tend to want to block it out. So we tend to forget about it, and then we become really aggressive, and that's not good. So if we can figure out what's going on, and if we can acknowledge it, as long as we acknowledge it and try to get some type of formal help, we'd be okay. And like she said, break the cycle.
Exactly.
We can break the cycle and not pass it on at all.
That's right. And like you said, it doesn't go away. When you've experienced any type of trauma or hurt, it just manifests itself in other ways, and it comes off mentally, physically, psychologically. I mean, you act out. There's certain illnesses, and I firmly believe that there's certain illnesses that it's just emotional stress or emotional trauma that manifests itself in a physical way.
Yes.
I don't want to throw any of those illnesses out because, with me being a public figure, they'll try to contest that and use that against me.
Yeah.
But I just firmly believe that there's spiritual implications for physical diseases, and unmet needs are manifested into you physical ways and comes out in different illnesses. So we'll just kind of leave it at that.
Okay.
But I know that you said that you in your adult life you've never experienced domestic violence, and thank God for that because it can be extremely traumatizing. But V. Mitchell, her workshop on the 21st, I mean, it says that she does a lot. She's a life coach, and she also focuses on things like career, grief, mental health pathologies, parenting. She does a lot, so it does not necessarily have to
stop with domestic.
It doesn't have to stop with domestic violence, and like you said, I mean, that conversation that we had was so powerful that we kind of talked about. It was all encompassing. We talked about a lot of things and I could definitely see how it could be effective just in community-based settings, and
no matter what color you are.
Right. No matter what color, I mean, what culture you're from, gender, sexual orientation, anything. It's just an effective way to just deal with stressors in a non-clinical type setting, and I think it's amazing. I'm looking forward to it. So you and I, we kind of touched on this before about V's daughters. I mean, they were so youthful.
Oh, wow.
They were so youthful, and they were girls, and so they kind of remind me of back in the day when we were in school. We were just interested in being girls, just not looking like rock stars or like we're on reality TV. And unfortunately, we're raising our girls too fast, and they're coming out and they're trying to be adults when they're still children.
Well, some of us are raising our daughters too fast.
That is.
Her daughters, because I feel bad. I said, oh, goodness, what school you go to? What they say, Withrow? You in junior high? No. One said she's a junior. I'm like, wow, it's breathtaking.
Yes.
They were gorgeous, beautiful, respectful, intelligent, she is doing a marvelous job, and you can tell she's raising her children. And as long as we raise and we teach her children, just like she had her children in here with you when you guys were talking, she has them in a spotlight. She has an open door. She has an open door for communication. So those girls are going to always stay with knowledge to know what to break through, what to get through, what to see before it happens or before it gets out of control.
That's right.
But her daughters and her, oh wow, it was like, I sat over in tears, like, oh gosh, I'm gonna cry if they don't stop. It was inspiring.
It was inspiring, and it was a breath of fresh air, right?
Yeah.
Just kids who look like kids, who act like kids, but at the same time, they're trying to, it was almost like they were trying to be like their mom, because if you looked at V is just all natural and just, it's like, okay, what you see is what you get, but she was beautiful. Just the epitome of a black woman who was just trying to heal from her hurts and help other people, use her personal story to empower others. And so it was impressive.
And she was so, she was easy to get along with. She was just
relatable.
And being herself.
Right.
Most people, they can be relatable, but they try to hide behind something. So it's just like, wow,
Right.
It was nice.
And what I was impressed about with V is that she was so relatable. Like, her story was like, we could relate on so many different levels, from religion, from our upbringing, from like our personal situations.
Right.
And so that, for me, what I took from that is it's just important to just be yourself and to be open and make yourself vulnerable, because you never know how you can help someone else. So although I'm the host of the show, she kind of empowered me to open up and tell more about my story. And I think that's what we need. Especially as it refers to building healthy relationships with people, or bonding and having relationships, personal and professional relationships with people in the community.
Right.
So.
And it's good because you're already an inspiring person, and you're so open and so real. If you just listen to a lot of people that come up, you do listen. But people just, Miss Kelly is just so real, and that's what's gonna make you just. You're going to get this, girl.
Oh, thank you.
people can relate to you.
Yeah,
And
people.
you do what you say.
Okay. All right. And I receive that. I believe that what God has for me is for me, and this faith walk is not going to be in vain. I mean, what I'm doing is spirit led, and it's not about me, it's about my community. And the one thing I had to know is that it's better to just be yourself. Be yourself, because people who love and respect you will love and respect you regardless, and they don't want someone that's fake. That's why we have the problems that we have now, because everybody's trying to be like this person or like that person, and it's just not for one, it's unnatural, it's not comfortable, and it keeps us from getting what we need, or getting our needs met. So I'm excited. Sometimes I'm afraid, because I go into environments and I know that I'm the black sheep in that room. I'm not like other people, but that's what kind of sets me apart. So I appreciate the feedback.
It does, because you can relate to a lot of us.
Mhm.
You know, if not personally me, I mean, you have a relation to this person here,
Mm-hmm.
to anyone. And then if we're going through something, you're
Mhm.
just like, I'm open, message me, you know, and
Right.
we can hop in there and talk to you, and you
Right.
can help us with our problems.
Right.
So, or you can at least say, hey, you know, I've walked that path, or I know someone that walked that path,
Mm-hmm.
and you understand, you listen.
Mm-hmm.
And then so therefore people like me are just like, yeah, okay.
Well,
There's hope. I have hope.
Well, Monica, you're a powerhouse yourself. I mean, you don't
Oh.
realize, but just having, especially at the Ohio Media School, just having you there and like pulling from your expertise and just being able to rely on you, and someone who I know, like we have the same personality. We're not judgmental. Someone who's going to help for the sake of helping, because they want to help me get to where I am, not because they have a hidden agenda. That makes a difference too.
Right.
And we talked a lot about V, but you're doing an excellent job with your daughters too.
Oh, thank you.
So, I'm really, really impressed. And again, we kind of talked about the fact that with your oldest daughter, you're her biggest role model.
I
And
think I come second to you.
but again, we had that conversation.
Yeah.
When I was her age, I probably made my mom feel like, oh well, this person is more important. But at the end of the day, we love our mom, like my mom, and people know. Even though my mom has passed, I still like kind of feel away, and I'm partial. I love my dad, but I'm really partial to my mom, and I know that she was my biggest role model.
Yeah.
And if you talk to my siblings, they'll tell you that I probably butt heads with my mom more than anyone else.
Oh, yes.
And that was just me like challenging her, like, well, let's see how this will pan out.
No, that was you letting her know that, Mom, I'm gonna be all right one day.
Exactly. I'm the baby girl, but I'm gonna be okay. And so, sometimes I think about it, like, I remember wanting to move out of my mom's house, like right when I turned 17. So as soon as I turned 18, I moved, and the place I moved to just happened to come up during a conversation during a candidate forum the other day, the Anna Louise Inn. One of my sisters, which was really a homeless shelter for women,
Mm-hmm.
and you could rent rooms there. It was like a dormitory store housing. And my sister was like, well, go to the Anna Louise Inn. But this was her way of giving me a reality check. Like, you want to be on your own? I want to show you what's out there. So she said, get you an apartment at the Anna Louise Inn and just let me know how that works out for you. Because she knew that I was giving our mom a little grief, and she wanted to give me a dose of reality. So I went to the Anna Louise Inn, and I realized after a day or so, I'm like, wow, I can't go in the refrigerator and get me anything to eat. I can't just jump on the phone, because you didn't have phones in your room. You had to use the phones in the hall. And just seeing like the women who were there, they had mental illnesses. They were homeless. They were poverty stricken. And I had to share a restroom and they did have like dividers in the restroom, but I had to share the restroom with strangers. So it kind of fostered the love that I have for women in battered women shelters, like who have gone through domestic violence situations, women who were mentally ill, women who were just poverty stricken. It kind of fostered the love and gave me, instilled the desire to help that population, but it gave me a reality check too, that just be grateful for what you haven't
Absolutely.
appreciated. So, my mom, and that's just going back to what, what we were saying about your daughter, we give our parents grief, but at the end of the day, I knew that I could always go home to mom. I could always count on mom, and she would always be there. So, even though I said at 17 I wanted to move out, I probably moved back and forth in with my mom 6 times throughout my life, literally. Like I would get apartments, be tired, and then I'm like, oh, I want to go back, and mom would always accept me. So,
of course. That's that love. I'm waiting though for my daughter to just give me grief. She hasn't gave it to me. I just think I'm getting it. Only because strong women like you, we already discussed how my daughter wants to, and that's why I say you're probably number one, because she faints at I told you, at the sight of just knowing, oh my God, Kelly didn't give out. They're strong, Black, powerful women who has everyday life issues and problems, or been there and done it, and they overcame something to be on top where they are. And that's why she is just like, oh my God, really? I have to work on a day-to-day? I can't go be around them like that. Girl, soon you'll be around her.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Tell her it's going to happen. We're just laying a foundation now where, we'll start hanging out and doing all kind of amazing things together. So, all right, so I know we talked about B and we talked about parenting and some of the things that are necessary in the neighborhood, but what's been going on with you as far as like some of the things that you're doing in the community, or especially at school?
At school, I'm just getting the hang of just trying to get the commercials and everything down together, just so I can get out here. And if you need me anymore, I can just be there in these fields and help you in any way possible. And I mean, it's just, I feel like, God had put us together again, even though we've been on Facebook friends for a long time. And then we ran into each other somewhere else, and I'm like, oh, you're my Facebook friend. And you're like, oh, for real, girl? And it's just, I feel like this is something I always wanted to do, but you're there. And the thing is, hey, I'm pushing you. I've been trying to tell you to get forward and go there, and you kept playing with me. So now I just gave you another little pedestal, take it, and you're that footstool, you're that pedestal, and it's like, oh, opportunity. I'm not shy no more, because I can learn from one of the best. Yes,
I think we're learning from each other.
Yeah, and you, just because I have a daughter who wants to be like you, just being around you and talking with you, it gives me things that I can take back to her. So even though if she's not, she's not in your home, I can say, hey, this is what I learned from her today. And so my life is just trying to stay focused and raise these 3 strong little girls, and just try to find where, I need to go, just so my daughters can have it easier to get to the top.
Right, and I think it'll happen. It'll happen. I think it was.
It will.
It's amazing how we cross paths and how, we've been Facebook friends forever, and then we started the Ohio Media School in the evening program, and I said, well, I know evenings won't work for me, and then you ended up coming today, so I'm like, what is this about? Like, okay, so we're destined to work together. So, I mean, it was destined.
Yeah, and then we have a couple of things that are like the same. It's like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward. You're such a gracious host. I'm really looking forward to the day when you can just co-host. Like I'll leave it in your hands and say, okay, LaMonica,
I'm learning. I'll get there.
Yeah,
you're teaching me.
We'll get there. So, or what's going to be amazing is when we're doing a show, doing production in separate locations, but together. With the virtual media. And so people should look forward to that too. So we're learning to
stay tuned in, guys.
Yes, we're learning to bring a new twist to media production. Okay, on social media, on television and radio, just doing some amazing things. So I'm really excited about that.
Great.
All right, so we have a few more minutes, and I just basically want to just give you an opportunity to just talk about some things. What are some things that you would really like to bring to the show, or what do you think? How do you think we can improve?
I really think you're doing a great job on what we're doing, because you don't just stay on one thing. Every show is different. It's not like we're just completely talking about politics, or we're just talking about relationships.
Right.
You bring everything up front. I mean, if it's about politics, mental health, if it's about our youth, about schools, just about everyday things, just wanting to know, we just keep on doing what it is that you're doing.
Right.
we should be fine. There's really nothing else to me, because you're so there. You're so you embrace everything,
Right.
and you just bring it to the the forefront.
And what I really want to do, the purpose of this is, again, to showcase our news our way. And because small businesses don't have the funding for marketing, I want to start showcasing more small businesses. I want to get out into the community and show the community. I think that to talk about what needs to happen in the community is one thing, but to actually be actively engaged in the community is something totally different.
Right.
And so for those of you who are watching, just stay tuned to us being in the community, actively engaging, especially as it relates to my political career. I mean, I can talk about it all day, but if you see that I am truly about it and you see how actively engaged we are in the community, then that would possibly encourage people to get more involved in politics. What's sad to me is the voter turn, even with politics is concerned, about the voter turnout, it's been so low. And because people, are discouraged about the state of politics. And basically, we are in control of the government. The elected officials are the ones who sit there and they make decisions, but you're in control. And so I think that if we go out into the community and start showing them how we can make a difference, then it's going to make a huge difference.
So it's kind of almost like, as they say, don't just talk about it, be about it.
Exactly.
So if we get out there and talk to people about what's going on and what issues they may have, and showcasing small businesses and how to keep our businesses going, and we be about it, we do it, we find resources, and then we can keep it going and everything will be okay.
Exactly. So what we can do is we can bring a new twist to reality TV. Our reality TV can be based on our reality to improve the quality of life for people based on real life situations, as opposed
Absolutely.
to showcasing the negative stereotypes. So that's going to be our twist. And so I think it would be wonderful if we could broadcast from the event that's going to be hosted by S. Yes. So let's broadcast this event.
That'd be
just
awesome.
to give V. Mitchell the spotlight
Mhm.
and to further our careers. So this is really exciting. So as always, I do want to give you an opportunity to tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on WordPress as LaMonica Miss Sin Duckworth, Facebook as LaMonica Duckworth, Twitter as LaMonica Duckworth, and that's it that I can think about right now.
All right. And as always, you can find me on Facebook, Kelly with an I, that makes me a girl. Kelly with an I on Facebook, Kelly for Cincy on Instagram, Kelly for Cincy on Twitter. I have a YouTube channel called Around Cincinnati with Kelly Prather. I have a website, kellyforthepeople.com, and that's my political website. I have a public figure Facebook page, Kelly Prather, on Facebook, and of course, you can continue to watch me here on Catching Up with Kelly, or Kelly's Commentary, with my beautiful co-host LaMonica Duckworth. And you'll always see you'll see live feeds from the Ohio Media School. So if you want to be on air, come join us at Ohio Media School. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Catching Up with Kelly. LaMonica, you want to take us out?
Have a great one, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.